Extrovert thinking, Te, the system's driver. Expanded core definition. What is Te really? Extrovert thinking, Te, is a judging function that evaluates the world based on efficiency, measurable outcomes, and objective structure. Where T seeks internal clarity, Te seeks external execution. Where Phi asks, is this true for me? Te asks, does this work for the system? Te is less interested in feelings or internal philosophy and more interested in what produces results. It looks at systems, blueprints, and data and asks, how can we make this faster, better, more effective? Te is the part of the psyche that turns ideas into action. It manages, organizes, and mobilizes. T's core drive, order through impact. T's mission is to translate information into usable systems. It's not content to simply know, it wants to act on that knowledge. Planning. Te creates structure from chaos. Efficiency. Te trims fat and simplifies operations. Delegation. Te assigns roles and sets goals clearly. Measurement. Te needs benchmarks. If it can't be tracked, how will we know it's working? Unlike Fei, which monitors emotional impact, Te monitors results. The mechanics of Te. Goal-anchored logic, always assessing what will produce the desired outcome. Rapid decision-making, often comfortable acting before knowing everything, it refines on the move. Externalized problem-solving, thinks aloud, uses tools, compares systems, tests hypotheses in real time. Value through output, feels most alive when making a visible impact in the outer world. Te is action logic. It will tolerate imperfect plans if it gets things moving and will iterate through feedback. Real-life examples of Te thinking. Business execution. This process is wasting 3 hours a week. Let's restructure it with a workflow tool. Project prioritization. This idea sounds good, but it's not scalable. Scrap it. Objective evaluation. You say you're working hard, but your deliverables dropped. Let's look at the data. Quick diagnosis. You're struggling with focus. Try this 3-part system for managing tasks. Te builds systems around people not because it devalues them, but because it wants clarity and effectiveness.
Te vesti.
Aspect.
T. Tiistai.
Decision anchor. External metrics and efficiency. Internal consistency and logic. Thought direction. Outward, system-facing. Inward, structure-facing. Approach to truth. Does it work? Does it make sense? Communication style. Clear, direct, managerial. Precise, analytical, often minimal. Te wants flowcharts. T wants clean algorithms. Both are valid, just tuned to different domains. Control knobs Te compared to Fei. Te, let's optimize the system. Fei, let's nurture the group. Both are extrovert judgment functions, meaning they organize outer reality, but one organizes systems, the other social fields. Emotional tone of Te. Te doesn't dismiss emotion, it just doesn't rely on it for judgment. It may sound blunt, but that's not a lack of care, it's just that efficiency matters more than sugarcoating. Healthy Te types will be confident but fair, structured but adaptable, productive without losing humanity. Unhealthy Te becomes controlling, rigid, dismissive of nuance or feelings. Magnifying glass tilted left subconscious questions Te asks all day. What's the goal? How can we get there faster? Is that backed by evidence? What's the process? Can we cut this? Is this scalable? Why are we still talking? Real-world manifestation when healthy. Executive leadership, decisive, organized, solution-focused. Strategic planning, seeing multiple steps ahead and assigning them. Project management, balancing teams, tools, and time to maximize flow. Law and infrastructure, building sustainable systems that serve a larger vision. Entrepreneurship, turning chaos into frameworks, ideas into revenue. Metaphor. Te is the engine room of the ship. It's not glamorous, but it moves the vessel forward, checks the gauges, corrects the course, and keeps everyone from drifting in circles. Summary: Te is the mind's builder, executor, and strategic organizer. It sees what must be done and does it, not to control for ego, but to manifest order from chaos. Energetic vibe of extrovert thinking, Te, subtitle: How Te feels, moves, and expresses itself internally. Wrench the feeling tone of Te from the inside. To live with strong Te is to be in constant alignment with action, outcome, and reality. It's not about domination or coldness. It's about clarity of objective, clarity of structure, and clarity of execution. Te feels like a straight line through chaos. The engine roar when a plan kicks into gear. The mental click of a well-organized spreadsheet. The low hum of satisfaction when people are moving, systems are working, and things are getting done. Where Te refines internally, Te projects structure outward. It doesn't care how elegant the theory is if it doesn't work in practice. Te's mind is calibrated to reality feedback loops, numbers, actions, decisions. Energetic qualities of Te. Decisive and direct. Te energy cuts through uncertainty. It doesn't wait for everyone to agree, it moves. Action first. Te doesn't need to feel ready. It builds readiness through motion. External benchmarking measures progress by output, effectiveness, or visible results. System optimizer, constantly scanning for ways to increase efficiency, reduce waste, or organize better. No nonsense, prunes emotional clutter when clarity or action is needed. Controlling when anxious, may default to overmanaging when things feel disordered or inefficient. Typical expressions of Te. Priority setting, making fast decisions based on goals, not feelings. This needs to happen by Friday. Data-backed argument, using external evidence to convince, persuade, or structure ideas. Efficiency radar, reorganizing a messy space, schedule, or workflow without being asked. Delegation instinct, quickly assigning roles or tasks in a team setting. Results drive, getting frustrated when conversation stalls and nothing is acted upon. When Te is in flow, you feel mentally crisp, purposeful, and unconflicted. You can lead without micromanaging. You make fast, clean decisions, then adapt as new data emerges. You're able to communicate clearly and assertively without defensiveness. You feel energized by real-world impact. When Te is blocked or distorted, you may feel paralyzed by disorganization or team indecision. You might bulldoze others emotionally in your drive to fix it. You could become impatient with nuance, vulnerability, or process delays. You may override your own emotional needs in favor of performance. Inner world quote, imagined by Te. I don't care how you feel about it, what's the plan, and is it working? Metaphor. Te is like a train conductor with a schedule, always scanning for delays, resources, and derailments, but never losing sight of the next stop. Or it's a builder in a field of scattered materials, quickly organizing what's useful, discarding what's not, and erecting something functional before the others even finish talking. Te isn't heartless. It's directive. It sees the goal, the pieces, and the clearest path and brings it all together to move things forward. Cognitive roles of extrovert thinking, Te, by stack position subtitle, How Te expresses itself as dominant, auxiliary, tertiary, and inferior. Tea's first function, the dominant, systems driver. Role, executive engine, outcome-oriented leader, decision maker. Energetic feel, reality is something to organize, measure, and manage. Progress and productivity are the heartbeat of life. Behavioral patterns, highly structured, organized, and goal-directed. Thinks in terms of plans, results, and outcomes. Prioritizes clarity and execution over emotional nuance. Typical strengths, efficiency, leadership, structure creation, logistical mastery, prioritization. Risk/distortion, overcontrol, emotional detachment, insensitivity to nuance, valuing output over ethics or well-being. Types with dominant Te, ENJ, ESTJ, and Te-based stacks like Te, Ni, Te, Si. If it's not working, we fix it. If it's not moving, we make it move. Te as second function, the auxiliary, efficient executor. Role: support for inner values, insights, or perception with outer structure and action. Energetic feel: a practical, reliable workhorse. Turns intuitive or value-based visions into organized systems or plans. Behavioral patterns: balances a more internal dominant function, like Ni or Phi, with action. Creates processes, organizes tasks, or motivates group efforts. Typical strengths: strategic planning, disciplined implementation, realistic evaluation, leadership with vision. Risk/distortion: may overextend to make it happen before clarifying inner alignment. Risks: becoming outcome-obsessed. Example pairings: Ni, Te, vision strategist, Phi, Te, principled reformer, Si, Te, reliable executor. Let's take your vision and make it real, step by step. Te's third function, the tertiary, planner comfort zone/control lever. Role: self-comforting structure, minor productivity driver, planning for planning's sake zone. Energetic feel: can feel satisfying and energizing when used lightly, like building a schedule, organizing a drawer, or cleaning up tasks. Behavioral patterns: often used when stressed, overwhelmed, or when emotional clarity is lacking. Offers brief relief through structure. Typical strengths: short-term action planning, system tweaking, self-soothing through organization. Risk/distortion: can form loops with dominant introverted functions, e.g., Phi, Te or Ti, Te, leading to rigidity, compulsive to-do listing, or control-seeking as emotional avoidance. Example pairings: Phi, Te, internal values planner, Ti, Te, overly systematic thinker, Si, Te, traditional organizer. I don't need to organize everything, but I feel better when I do. Te's fourth function, the inferior, hidden order/shadow authority. Role: suppressed structure maker, under trusted decision muscle, defensive executioner. Energetic feel: Te in this position often feels awkward, forced, or uncomfortable. External structure might feel oppressive or secretly desirable. Behavioral patterns: may reject overt planning or timelines, but become flustered or rigid when forced to organize. Can overcompensate with executive moments when stress demands control. Typical strengths: when integrated confidence in managing plans, initiating goals, and communicating structure clearly. Risk/distortion: avoids responsibility, fears visibility, overcorrects with explosive control attempts or power struggles. Example pairings: Phi, Na, Si, Te, creative but hesitant executors, Ti, Na, Si, Te, introspective avoiders of structure. I don't like being in charge, but if nobody else steps up, I guess I have to. Summary: Te brings order, drive, and execution, but its flavor depends entirely on its role. As a dominant, it leads with motion and control. As an auxiliary, it turns insights into systems. As a tertiary, it tidies and comforts through plans. As an inferior, it reveals your hidden edge, the part that knows you can take charge. Te reminds us that action is clarity in motion, not to overpower, but to build what matters. Te's strengths profile subtitle: the powers of extrovert thinking in action, structure, and real-world execution. Core strengths of Te. 1. Objective efficiency: Te excels at making things happen quickly, clearly, and measurably. It cuts through confusion to establish what works. What are we trying to do, and what's the best path to get there? 2. Strategic organization: whether it's a timeline, business model, or a kitchen renovation, Te brings structure to chaos. It builds clear frameworks others can follow. 3. Decisive leadership: Te users often take charge without hesitation. Their clarity and action-based mindset help people move from intention to execution. 4. Accountability and results. Tay isn't content with maybe. It tracks performance, deadlines, and delivery. It manages expectations and measures real-world impact. 5. Data-driven logic. Tay prefers facts over theories. It supports its claims with data, statistics, and precedent, refining logic through observable results. 6. Implementation clarity. Tay transforms abstract vision into practical action steps. It turns dreams into plans and philosophies into policies. 7. Delegation and system management. Rather than doing everything alone, Tay often distributes tasks and resources effectively. It sees the whole machine and who belongs where. 8. Prioritization mastery. Tay knows how to sort goals by urgency and importance. It can quickly discern what matters most and cut distractions. 9. External planning and scheduling. Strong Tay users often keep timelines, systems, and routines running. They anchor group efforts in reality. 10. Crisis management. In emergencies or confusion, Tay stabilizes. It moves fast, issues commands, organizes people, and finds the next step forward. Summary. Extrovert thinking is the executive engine of the mind, transforming ideas, goals, and values into structured action and measurable success. Tay is the builder, the strategist, the no-nonsense realist. It doesn't just talk about solutions, it creates them. Its strength lies not in theory or emotion, but in execution, clarity, and empowered direction. Tay's Shadow and Distortions Profile. Subtitle: The Shadows of Extrovert Thinking, When Order Becomes Oppression. What happens when Tay distorts? Extrovert thinking, Tay, is a powerhouse of execution, order, and strategy. But when shadowed or overextended, Tay becomes controlling, dismissive, and hyper-focused on outcomes, forgetting the human, ethical, or emotional nuance behind its goals. Shadow Tay loses its moral compass and replaces it with a spreadsheet. Core distortions of Tay. 1. Productivity as self-worth. Shadow Tay defines its value through results. If it's not building, measuring, or progressing, it feels worthless or anxious. Rest is failure. What matters is what gets done. Feelings come later, if at all. 2. Emotional dismissiveness. Tay prefers clarity and structure. In Shadow, it views emotions as irrational obstacles. People are managed, not understood. Feelings are seen as distractions. 3. Authoritarian control. Shadow Tay imposes systems and schedules with rigidity. It becomes impatient, domineering, or dismissive of alternative perspectives that seem inefficient. 4. Hypercompetitiveness. Tay loves improvement, but in Shadow, it turns into comparison. Success becomes domination. Winning replaces cooperation. 5. Suppressed vulnerability. Tay doesn't naturally dwell in the emotional world, but Shadow Tay treats vulnerability like a weakness to hide or conquer. It leads through force, not trust. 6. Over-reliance on external metrics. Shadow Tay places more faith in what can be seen, tracked, or proven, ignoring the subjective or symbolic. If it's not measurable, it doesn't count. Shadow pairings and loops. Tay, Phi loop, pushes forward with action to protect emotional vulnerability. Values become non-negotiable commands. I believe this, so I'll force it into the world, regardless of cost. Tay, an ice spiral, becomes a cold strategist, planning systems without heart. May pursue calculated goals that alienate or exhaust everyone involved. Tay, say compulsion, chases visible outcomes, status, and surface success, overworking the body, neglecting rest, or seeking external validation through performance. Emotional signs of Shadow Tay. You feel uneasy unless you're achieving something. You bulldoze through conflict instead of addressing it. You see emotions as threats to efficiency. You cut off relationships that slow your plans. You secretly fear being seen as weak or soft. Healing and integration suggestions. Reconnect with Phi. Ask, why does this matter to me, not just what does it produce? Value inner conviction as much as outer validation. Listen fully before planning a response. Let yourself rest without guilt. Not everything is a task. Remember, leadership includes soft power, not just authority. Summary. Healthy Te is a builder of progress and structure. Shadow Te is a machine that forgets its heart. Its strength becomes distortion when people are treated like problems and goals are pursued without grounding in values or compassion. Te heals when it aligns purpose with presence and learns that the most meaningful outcomes can't always be measured. Your worth isn't what you produce. It's who you are even when the spreadsheet is blank. Te Development Practices Subtitle: Cultivating Structure, Direction, and External Impact with Extrovert Thinking. Why Te development matters. Extrovert thinking, Te, is the function of execution, clarity, and objective direction. It enables us to transform ideas into action and structure into results. When underused, people may feel overwhelmed, disorganized, or powerless to move forward. When overused, Te can become controlling, rigid, or dismissive of nuance and emotional truth. Developing Te means learning to trust structure not as a cage, but as a channel for your will, values, and vision. If Te is underused and you want to strengthen it, signs you're underusing Te. You feel stuck in planning but rarely follow through. You doubt your ability to take charge or make clear decisions. You have strong ideas or values, but don't know how to implement them. Development practices. Goal simplification ritual each morning. List your top 3 goals for the day, no more. Choose just one to complete. Te thrives in focused action. Action planning templates use a structure, calendar, project tracker, priority matrix to translate abstract goals into doable steps. Make progress visual. Externalized accountability. Declare goals to someone else. Set deadlines or check-ins. Let the outside world become a feedback loop. Decision speed training. Give yourself 60 seconds to decide on small issues. Build confidence in decisive movement. Structure creation challenges. Invent a new routine, workflow, or method, not for perfection, but for clarity. Start with, how can I make this easier to repeat? Measurable progress. Mapping. Track even emotional or creative work in concrete ways. I wrote 500 words. I meditated 3x this week. I followed up with 2 clients. If Te is overused and you need to balance it. Signs of Te overuse. You feel driven to control or fix everything. You ignore emotional feedback in favor of efficiency. You burn out from overscheduling, overleading, or overperforming. Balancing practices. Phi integration. Feeling as anchor. Ask, is this action aligned with what I really care about? Pause before planning. Before jumping into how. Ask, why now? Or, what's the emotional climate? Build in reflection. Value-based prioritization. Don't just prioritize by urgency. Prioritize by meaning. What energizes you emotionally and strategically? Unstructured time blocks. Schedule time with no productivity goal. Practice being without measuring. Feedback without defensiveness. Ask someone, how do you experience me when I'm in leader mode? Be open to tone, not just outcome. Body-based reconnection. When feeling hypermental or overactive, return to breath, stretch, or nature. Reground in the sensory present. Advanced integration practices. Purpose grid mapping. Align personal values, Phi, with strategic outcomes, Te. Ask, how does this system serve my soul? Failure deconstruction. Break down a past failure not to shame, but to harvest lessons. Te learns best by building better next time. Leadership as service exercise. Journal. What kind of world do I want my leadership to create emotionally, ethically, practically? Te sabbatical ritual. Take a day without organizing anything. Let intuition and connection lead. Then reflect on how it felt. Summary. Healthy Te builds what matters. Shadow Te just builds. Te doesn't require domination to be strong, only clarity of intent, consistency of action, and respect for both process and people. It develops best when power becomes stewardship and outcomes become expressions of inner alignment. Structure is not the enemy of soul. When built with care, it becomes its channel.